Just setting up the camera here. And by the camera, I mean my phone. All right. Well, it should show up soon. If you go to my channel.
I'm sitting on that particular feed. It says live in 1 minute, 54 seconds.
Oh, okay. It should be going live now, I would think. Hey, everybody. Hopefully you can see and hear me. Just got the stream going just a little bit early to make sure everything seems to be working okay. Got my lovely and talented assistant, Lori the Maker, helping me out to monitor the live chat. Can you see the stream? Okay. Does it appear to be working?
Yes.
Can you hear me in the stream? Okay, excellent. Can you read the comments?
There's no comments at the moment, but yes, I can see where the comments are.
Okay, excellent.
4 of us here.
That's great news. So we'll give people a little bit of time to join in here. All right, what time is it? Okay. Well, it's the top of the hour, so I guess I'll get going. Excellent, thank you, Radio Face Woodworks. I'm just straining to see the text on the screen because it's so small. Like Highland Boxes, I'm just using my phone to stream. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed by some of the streams from earlier where people have like multiple cameras and camera angles. I'm like, that's really awesome. I think Stuart Farini said he had 6 cameras. that just blows my mind. That's just crazy. You know, me over here with this is my main camera that I use for all my YouTube videos. It's just a Nikon 1A1, and I use my phone for live streaming. In fact, I know of some people that have been quite successful making videos just using their phone. There are apps that you can buy that you can edit video right on your phone. And in fact, when I was hanging out with Chad from Mancrafting at Maker Faire a couple of years ago, he took a video of Jimmy Dresto on stage, edited it while we were just sitting there, and posted it to his YouTube like in about 5 minutes. It was really, really crazy. But yeah, I'm Cameron Porter. This is Cammy's Garage. Thanks everyone for joining in. I really appreciate your support. And thanks to all the great makers that came before me this morning. I was up a little late last night and missed some of the streams this morning because I slept in, but I quickly went back and reviewed them, saw all the great things people were making. Hopefully I can keep you entertained for an hour before Wayne the Woodturner comes up after me. So for those of you that don't know me or are new to my channel, I'm a full-time studio artist and I make content for YouTube and Instagram. I have over 300 videos on my YouTube channel, so that's a lot of entertainment. If you're new here, make sure you check out some of my older videos and my newer videos. I feel like my newer videos are more interesting and making artistic things. So speaking of artistic things, I am going to make an artistic thing. It's actually a theme that I had explored in the past with my art. I've been an artist for over 20 years. I had a 20-year career in the animation industry as a animator, illustrator, designer. You know, I've done watercolor painting, illustration, a lot of different things. I am an artist primarily, and it just so happens that wood is my preferred medium at the moment. And this is a piece of walnut. This is also a piece of walnut. So I basically prepared these blanks earlier to make an art piece out of it. So one thing I keep nearby all the time is a Post-it note and a pencil because I can draw out my ideas, sketch out my ideas. I know Rebecca DeGroot does this as well. So like I said, I'd made several pieces similar to this before. I think I made 3 of them, and it was based on a theme I called it Balance, and it was inspired by Balancing Rock, which is a geological formation in my home province of Nova Scotia. It's pretty famous in the area where it's a basalt column that's about 30 feet tall, and it's about maybe 4 feet wide, and it's this giant tower that's just sitting on the edge of the ocean, and it's been sitting there for millennia probably, and just it was inspirational because my home, kind of miss it, especially right now because I can't go visit my family or anything. Speaking of that, I have to apologize for my last live stream. I was a little distracted and a little flighty. The last virtual Crafty Festival. Anyway, let's talk about art. So I'm just going to do a quick sketch of my idea. Oh, that pencil is broken. Great. Let me get another pencil here. I have a charcoal pencil, much darker, but so I basically want to have a base, a wide base that's wood turned, but cut it at an angle with the saw, and then have another narrower cylinder that I'm going to cut into several pieces as well. So it'll end up looking something like I'll offset it a little bit. Something like that. Oh, and is it starting to rain outside? Okay. So we have the doors open here. It's summer here in South Carolina now. So I want to do something like this. So I'm going to turn a cylinder, a tall cylinder, out of this piece, and I'm going to turn a smaller cylinder out of this piece here. So let's head over to the lathe. So thankfully, I don't have to really worry about where I am in the shop because I have my earbuds that are microphones as well as earphones. Not that I can hear you. But yes, I do have someone monitoring the chat for me because it's difficult for me to read the chat while I'm working here. So I got my spur center here, and I've already tapped it in with a hammer so I can just mount it on the lathe here. In the spot, my old face shield is looking a little worse for wear. I'm not too concerned about getting this exactly in the center because I'm going to turn it anyway. So I'm just going to mount that on there. Quickly turn this into a cylinder. Get my face shield on here. The old face shield is looking worse for wear. I had horns on here because it's a Darth Maul theme, but they all kind of rotted off because they were made of rubber. And I got a bunch of glue and stuff on the front. Ordinarily, I would wear a face mask as well to keep dust away, but I got the doors open here. Hopefully the wind will blow through. So I'm just going to rough it first with this carbide tool. So I got it spinning at about 1,000 RPM here. Ordinarily, I would take a little more care to do this a little more carefully, but just trying to keep things moving and exciting for you guys for the live stream. I always like to turn the lathe off when I'm moving the tool rest, just for safety. It's not really a big deal, but it's just a personal preference of mine. Okay, now that we have that roughed in with the carbide tool, I'm going to take my bowl gouge and make a final pass, just to make sure it's a cylinder and to get a nice cut. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So I still got to make one more pass here. See how that looks. All right, that's close enough. That's how we do things in Cammy's garage. Close enough. Oh my goodness, it's really starting to pour rain out here. This is what happens here in South Carolina in the summer. Just you get a random rainstorm every afternoon. As Lori the Maker says, good for her garden. Bouncing a little bit. So I'm not too worried about the ends because I'm going to cut those off anyway. Oh, still got a little bit right there. If you know what, I'm just going to use the carbide tool. I don't want it to be flat anyway. Let's smooth this out. As I've already said, normally I would take a little more care and get a nice cut with the traditional tools. But just trying to keep things moving here. And interesting for y'all. So my wife has asked me, why am I using two different gouges or tools here? The first is because I just wanted to quickly rough, and I feel like carbide tools are really great for quickly roughing things out, but don't necessarily leave the nicest surface. So that's why I use traditional tools like this bowl gouge. I don't have a spindle roughing gouge, so I have to make do with the tools that I have, and I need to close the door because it is so, yes, quite the storm is blown up here. Wow. quite untimely.
You still have audio though, you're okay.
Okay, all right. So I don't know if you can see in the background there how hard it is raining now. Yeah, that storm just blew up in the last 5 minutes. Impeccable timing, right? It was sunny all morning, and now that I started the live stream, it is just dumping here. I need to close the door. Holy cow! Oh yeah. Well, I'll unplug it. Wow. Thanks for being patient. So I'm just going to quickly sand this here. Get some of my Unita sandpaper. Thanks to Unita Enterprises for supplying me with sandpaper for Cammy's garage. They've been a long time supporter, and this is their Ika Blue paper. By the way, you can get 10% off of their online store just by using the code CAMMY20 at checkout. I'm just starting with 120. Maybe I should have started with 80 because I still have a few marks, tool marks. But I don't want to stir up too much dust either. Yeah, I'm not going to sand too much. I'm going to skip that because now I don't have the doors open to blow the sand, blow the dust out. So let's just pretend that I sanded this up to 400 grit. I'm going to take this off the lathe and put my other piece on here. So this is going to be the base. I'm just going to turn this into a cylinder. I glued this up a couple of days ago in preparation for this. Once again, I'm just going to rough it quickly with the carbide tool. It's not centered. All right, that's good enough. Anyway. Oh, this one's starting to vibrate a little bit. Got it spinning at about 800 RPM. All right, tighten that up a little bit. So I still got a little bit more to take off here. Oh, I got some tear out there. You know why? Because this was the end of the piece of wood, so obviously there's some cracks in there. But that's okay, because I can cut this off. I will flatten the bottom, though. So this will be the bottom. Yeah, I'll just end up cutting that off anyway. But I will quickly sand it. This is just 120. Okay, we'll pull that off of there. So it's one thing to have, a cylinder, but what can you do to make it a little more interesting? And that is to cut it into pieces with a saw. So this vise here, I have a couple of pieces of poplar in here in order to. So poplar is pretty soft wood, and it grips on without damaging the wood, as long as I don't tighten it too much. You know what? I should have cut that down a little bit, but I'll just hand cut it. I love this saw because it's so sharp and it works so quickly. All right, so I'm going to cut this at about a 30-degree angle, I think, maybe. Cut it like this. Hmm. Lower this down some. You hear the thunder outside? Afternoon thunderstorm here, South Carolina. I'm just going to eyeball this. Am I using the right side? Okay, there's my base. That's going to be the base. Oh, I got a few cracks in here. Oops. thought I could cut those off. I guess I didn't go deep enough. But I'm going to sand this off so this is nice and flat. But first, now I have to work on this piece. First, I'm going to cut the bottom off. I can just use this as a guide. I'm literally dripping sweat. It's so hot in here. Ah, man. That's a waste piece. Cut the other end off. So I've made a career eyeballing things. It works out most of the time. Even if it doesn't, who's going to notice? Your art doesn't have to be perfect. Your art can be whatever you say it is. All right, so this is going to be something like this, but I am going to maybe do like this. So cut this into multiple pieces. So what I'm thinking about now is the proportion of the size of the pieces and how they're going to relate to each other on the piece. If you make them even, just say I cut these into 3 pieces, that'll look a little bit boring and kind of static. Whereas if you offset them so that they're all different sizes, I think that'll be more visually interesting. So again, use this as a guide, sort of eyeball it. Oops. One. Okay, my bad. Sorry you guys couldn't see what I was doing there. So I have this piece that's that big. Maybe this will be like this, maybe something like that. Again, I'm just making this up as I go along. That's what I do most of the time. Here in Cammy's garage. So, it's whatever looks visually interesting to you. Remember, it's your art. You don't have to make it to any standard. Okay, so we have 3 pieces here. So this is going to look like this when I put it together. Something like that. You can't really see it. No. So this will go in there. This will go in here. Something like that. We can't really see it because my hands are in the way. But again, if I was doing this not not live, I would take the time to sand all this nice and smooth up to 400 grit. I'm also going to take this over to well, how much time have we got? So I'm half hour in actually. So I would take this if I was doing this not live. I would take this to the my disc sander and make sure this was sanded flat, as well as my the ends here. But because I'm just doing this as a demo. Yeah, I'm just going to go to the next part, which is attaching these together with dowels.
Who has a question?
Someone has a question,
Yes.
apparently.
Tim Porter asks, how can I tell if it's art versus random assembly parts?
It's your attitude. So, so the question was, how do I know if it's art rather than just a random assemblage of pieces? It's what you say it is. If I say it's art, and it's in your attitude. I am an artist because I make art. I think if you make art, you're an artist. But if you don't necessarily believe you're an artist if you make art. So it's all in your attitude. And I feel that I try to make things that are visually appealing. And I also make videos to try to be entertaining, just like I'm trying to be entertaining right now. And keep things moving and interesting for you guys.
Can you reassemble it for them just so those that are following along can see again where you're going and what it's called?
Okay, this piece I'm working on right now, I'm going to call it Balance 4 because I did 3 pieces similar to this in the past. In fact, you can go back in my streams, not streams, sorry, my videos a few months ago. I did a few pieces that are like this. This is, oop, that side. Anyway, this is what I'm aiming for. This is made out of walnut. So what I'm going to do now is assemble these pieces together so that uh, this is going to be the base, and this will be the next piece. So that'll attach there like that. This will be the next piece that attaches like that. And then this piece will go like that. So I feel like this shape is visually appealing to me. And walnut is a really lovely wood. I love working with it. It's my favorite wood. And the first one I made, I just glued these together like this. I didn't put any dowels in there or anything like that. I could also do something like this. That might be interesting too. Make it a little taller. Anyway, now I'm just going to drill some dowel holes here. As I said, I would take the time, if I was doing this, to assemble this more carefully, as well as sand it all smooth and let's make it look all nice.
One of the first recipients of this knocked over, and because you didn't have dowels.
Right. Lori just pointed out the fact that the first one I made, it was knocked over and it broke almost like the day after they got it. But I also had another patron. He lives locally actually, who bought one of my balance pieces, and his dogs knocked it over, and it broke, and I had to repair it for him like a couple months ago. But I mean, I had dowels in that one, and it still broke. So, um, you know, if I'd made things out of ceramic, like Heidi does in the live stream from earlier, I don't think anyone would be like, "Oh, well, you didn't put it together right, and that's why it broke." If it was made out of a different material, some people, you know, troll me and say, "Oh, that's going to fall apart" or whatever because he didn't do it right. Well, it's art. It's not. It doesn't have to be uh, strong if it's just a static display piece. It's not going to have any stress on it, at least not normally. And if it was made out of glass or ceramic or something, you still wouldn't want to knock it off your table or wherever it is you put it. So I happen to know I have some 5/8 inch dowel right here. This is oak dowel that I just bought at the local hardware store. So I'm going to get 5/8 inch drill bit for the drill off the shelf over here. I'm sorry, what?
Are you okay to reopen the thing?
Reopen the door? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, this is a 3/8 inch dowel, not 5/8 inch dowel. Sorry. Yeah, it's very hot. I'm literally dripping sweat here. So this is going to be my first Just I'll put it here. Lori's opening the doors for me. So again, I'm just eyeballing this. I try to make it as straight as I can. That's my first hole. The second hole will be here. So I was once in a doctor's office and I was chit-chatting with the nurses, and one of the nurses said, "Oh, I make woven art pieces out of, they're." She showed me a picture of it, and I said, "Oh, you're an artist," and she's like, "Oh no, I'm not an artist," and I said, "But you're making art," and that made her think, that well maybe she is an artist. It's all in your attitude and your ideas. I once took my car to get it serviced at a dealership, and the service manager gave me a ride back home while my car was being worked on. And we were just chit chatting, and he mentioned how he plays guitar in a band. And I said, "Oh, you're a musician." And he paused for a second and he said, "No one's ever called me that before." And I think he had a realization that he is an artist. That was a poignant, maybe a turning point in his life. Just a simple thing of me saying, effectively saying you're an artist, makes him think more about it. So that's gonna go there. Gonna go there. Sorry, I keep having to move the camera. Oh, you know what? I drilled the hole on the wrong side on this one. Yes, I did. I yeah, I screwed that up. That's okay because I can just change it up a little bit. Maybe. Okay, maybe it'll only have two pieces. Drill a couple more holes here. So if that's like that, I want to drill the hole here. Sorry, I keep forgetting to move the camera. Maybe I should have gotten a camera person. All right, so this is gonna go there. Yeah, I drilled the hole in the wrong place on this piece here. So yeah, talking and drilling doesn't work. So it's good to align them first, just to make sure you get the holes in the right place. So I'll just drill one more hole here. Lori asked me, why do I start at an angle when I'm trying to drill? Because if you try to drill, I don't have a drill press, so I have to do this by hand. And if I try to drill straight in at an angle like this, the drill bit's going to slip down like that. So I have to start at an angle first just to start the hole, and then go straight up and down to go in. Okay, so now that we have our pieces assembled here, not assembled, drilled. So I'm going to throw this piece out because I did it wrong. So I want this piece here like this. And then this piece will go like that. Have my dowels here. Just gonna cut a few dowels. Okay, they're going to be a little fat to go in these holes. You know, some people have the problem where they buy these dowels from the store, pre-made dowels from the store, and they're too small. I find they're too big, usually. I'd prefer them smaller, honestly. But I'm just going to put these in the end of the drill and sand them a little. Some sandpaper.
They can't see what you're doing there.
So I just put the dowel in the end of the drill with some sandpaper. didn't put it in enough.
20 minutes left.
20 minutes, all right. So that fits now. So ordinarily I'd put glue on there, but just for this demo, I'm just gonna not put glue on there. Oh yeah, okay. Trying to get the right camera angle all the time here and stuff. All right, so imagine that I've put glue in there, and this extra piece is in here. Just pretend I didn't screw up, and everything will be fine, right? But yeah, so this now, here's my R piece. How long did that take me? Um, yeah, so it's a little crooked because number one, I was trying to do it quickly for just for the demo. I would take more care, obviously, and make it a little more accurate so that it aligned straight up and down. You can see there's a little bit of gap right there because I didn't take care in drilling the dowel holes straight. Yeah, balance 4. So I would normally, like I said, ensure that this was all sanded, all smooth and nice, and I would uh, finish it. The last few that I made, I finished with a wipe-on polyurethane. I often use spray lacquer on my pieces as well. I have a lot of products that I've tested lately, and it just depends on the piece, what I'm doing. Uh, I have, a few products like waxes and buffing compounds for the lathe. I haven't used the lathe a lot lately. I've been doing a lot of carving. I'm partnered with Sabertooth Carving Burrs. And in fact, I was thinking about carving something today out of some skateboard wood, but it is so loud and noisy that and messy that I decided not to do that today, just for the demo. Okay, maybe we can get a better look at this here.
Could you turn, so there's kind of a question about, could you turn that on a lathe like that without having to do it with the mechanism you did, like where you did a straight piece, cut it in?
The question is, could you turn this on a lathe? And the answer is kind of. You couldn't you couldn't get this angle on the lathe. It would have to be straight, but you could come in and carve this in later. You would have to turn this section, this section. You could offset turn this section and this section. You could offset turn all these, but not this part that's angled. You would have to come in later and carve it or cut it yourself by hand. But yeah, I'm ashamed to say I finished early. You know, one of the things that from my first live stream, my first virtually crafty live stream, one thing I said to myself was I could slow down and take more time to do things right. And I want to, keep the pace up and keep it interesting for you guys. Keep it fun and upbeat. Uh, Unfortunately, I keep going too fast. Obviously there's more things I could do to that. I could have sanded it more, but I had the doors closed, and I just didn't want my face mask on because I'm doing the live stream. I normally wear a face mask all the time in the garage here, especially when sanding or carving. I use a regular dust mask, N95 dust mask. I always wear, my safety goggles if I'm using like the miter saw, or I have my face shield when I'm uh, turning on the lathe. So safety is important to me. I mean, I have work boots that have steel shank and steel toe in them. They're made with leather. Yeah, ordinarily like I said, would sand those so that they're nice and smooth, and then finish the piece. Uh, Wax and mineral oil, something like this butcher's block conditioner, uh, is super simple, easy to use, and non-toxic. Uh, Gives a matte finish if you're into matte finish. It just depends on the piece. Like I recently made a couple of beer mugs on the lathe. That was one of my more recent videos where I had coated them with epoxy. Total Boat sent me some epoxy to try, and I ended up sanding the one that I made out of walnut. And I'm like, hey, this looks better than shiny. So I felt like the matte finish worked a lot better than a shiny finish on that particular piece. So it just depends on how I feel that day and the ultimate look that you want. I didn't necessarily like the plasticky kind of look of coating a piece with epoxy, even though it's completely waterproof. The mugs I made were waterproof and FDA approved for food contact. Cold food though, don't put hot food or hot liquids in it. But that was a fun project. Hopefully you were entertained. Are there any questions? My wife has been monitoring the chat.
So Steve Gordon asked me to see some other pieces, and I said go check out YouTube or Instagram. But
All right.
do you want to use what's on the top of the shelf to talk about what you were using for that?
I don't understand what. So Steve Gordon wanted to see some other pieces, and you can check out Cammy's Garage on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active. You can also check out a bunch of my other videos. I also have an Etsy shop if you're interested in any of my pieces. I have pretty wide variety of things available on my Etsy shop. But I'll use this as an example. This was a test piece that I made for a project before. So I had turned this donut shape. Well, it was half a donut essentially, and then I cut it in half and glued it back together just to see if I could do it. I used a bunch of reclaimed wood. This wood is cedar, and this wood is ash. So those two woods together don't necessarily work because ash is much harder than cedar. So it was kind of weird turning this, but like I said, it was just some scraps I'd lying around, and this was just a test piece. And I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of cool like that, but it's been sitting on the shelf over there for a couple of years now, actually, just because this was a test. So a lot of people want to do something really nice uh, right away. And the thing about sketching is that if you're an artist, like an animator, you do a lot of drawings that are basically thrown in the trash. And it's all about practice. If you want to get good at something, you need to practice doing it. And that's exactly what this is. This is a practice just to see if I can do it for future projects. So, you get some scraps lying around. Everything in my shop is all scraps. I got a lot of pieces from a friend, a lot of walnut pieces because he makes furniture. There's a company locally that makes furniture, and he let me rate his scrap in a few times. So I'm very lucky to have friends nearby that have, you know, all these scraps were basically from friends. The only lumber that I've purchased are, we can't really see them there, but there's a few slabs behind there. I've made things from slabs in the past where, big bowls and things like that.
When you started, you also used reclaimed furniture a lot.
Right. Yeah, this is a good point. Lori said that when I first started, I was using a lot of reclaimed material. Just people in my neighborhood would do home renos, and I would literally dumpster dive to get scraps of wood. And I still have some of those scraps here, little scraps here and there. But yeah, because my friend make furniture, he can't use pieces that I consider to be full on lumber or he considers to be scraps. So I've got some really, really nice pieces. I mean, full on milled lumber and stuff like that. Uh, so that I would, um, unfortunately, they're all irregularly shaped and sized. So that's why I make a lot of segmented pieces, is because it's the easiest thing to deal with, because all the irregularly shaped pieces that I have. And I have enough wood here to keep me going for probably years. In fact, there's more. Oops, more under the bench here. We can't really see it, but this is basically filled with, quote unquote scraps. No, I don't. They're not scraps by any means, but what else is happening? So my wife and I are getting a new fence. Uh, hopefully this week. We've been waiting for the supplies. They just delivered the supplies yesterday. So this fence here and like the fence around the entire property is being replaced essentially. That's a little bit of a kind of off topic, but yeah. So maybe I should take this opportunity to plug Wayne the Wood Turner, a very talented and experienced wood turner, coming up next. So make sure you check out his stream because the dude is very, very experienced when it comes to the lathe, and he's also an artist. Has an artistic mind, I believe, from watching his streams. And you'll learn some stuff from him if you are a wood turner at all. If you don't already know about Wayne the Wood Turner, check out his stream coming up next. Thanks to everybody who has tuned in. Now we got a little over 5 minutes left, so this is probably a good time to end it. But thanks a lot for following along. Hopefully I can inspire you to try some new artistic techniques, maybe get outside of your comfort zone or try something new that you haven't tried before on the lathe or in any other part of your life even. All right, thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in and watching and supporting. Make sure you check out the rest of the streams today. I'm sure there will be some exciting things coming up soon. And I guess that's it. So thanks a lot, guys. Have fun out there. Make something beautiful or ugly. Take care, everybody.